Hello, my name is Pratiksha Manglekar and welcome to today's session on study skills. Study skills are very important techniques of studying something. It could be for a test, or it could be for an interview, or it could be studying just in general. All of us need to have, or we do have, formed certain study skills, right? In today's session, we are here to discuss certain habits that most of the successful students follow. And at the end of the session, we are also going to deal with an example of how to make notes, the note making techniques, especially used in English language. Right. Most of these habits, if we practice them regularly, it can be life changing also. Right. So let us begin. Success is a sum of small efforts repeated. Our Collier has said this, okay, which is very true. We have experienced this in our lives. Okay, it is the everyday efforts that actually count when it comes to success, right? The first study skill that we all must follow is that we must avoid procrastination. What is that? We should avoid putting things to later. It so happens that sometimes we have a due in order to submit a particular report, or say submit a particular assignment. And when do we actually start working on it? We start working on it the day prior or the night prior to it. And do you think we do a great job? No, we don't. Most of the times when we procrastinate and do things at the last moment, we often tend to do a lot of mistakes and our work is not up to the mark. So what can be done? We can avoid procrastination, right? We can start working a little bit prior, okay, before the due date, right? This can be done very easily by setting deadlines for yourself. How do you do that? Say the deadline is next week that you need to submit your assignment in college or at school. What you can do is start working on it from today itself, right? This works not only for assignments but also studying for tests and also studying regularly. Next study tip would be to study every day or to study regularly. Now imagine a particular plant. Say you have just sown the seeds and the plant is going to grow. Imagine you don't water it at all, and one fine day, say after 10 days, you pour in a bucket full of water in that plant, right? You have given it all the water that was required in the last 10 days. Do you think the plant will grow? It will not. Okay, what is really required is you need to water that plant, probably a glass full of water every day, and only then it's going to grow. By now, after watering it after 10 days, I'm sure that seed has died already, right? That is the same philosophy that we need to follow in our lives when it comes to studying. We need to study a little bit every day and not wait until the examinations to approach. Next study skill is to ask questions. This is when you are preparing, when you are still studying for the examination, say during your lectures, okay, or it could be when you are studying on your own also. You need to ask as many questions as possible. What happens when you ask a lot of questions is that you will have no doubts when you are studying it later, right? When you are studying it the first time itself, if you ask a lot of questions, a lot of the mysteries, a lot of the doubts are already solved. And when this happens in a participatory learning, when this happens in a classroom environment, it not only benefits you but also benefits all others in the class. All right, so these are two pictures of a drawer, and please tell me which one looks better. Which one, say you want to find a stapler, will you find it easily in the first picture, the before picture, or the after picture? Definitely in the after picture. This with this I come to the next point, that it's very important for a student to be organized, to get organized, right? You need to assign certain places for your things, and that way it is often said that if you want to start something, if you want to start something new or start studying for something, it's always good to start with organizing. Okay, but what happens is, but there are two things that happen. First of all, if you are organized, it's easy for you to find things, you won't waste any time in looking for those things. And second thing is, once you organize things around you, you start believing, okay, it's a psychological factor, that you start believing that things are under your control. That is why it's important that you have a clean desk and a very organized desk, and if you need to find something, you should find it very quickly, right? Next study technique is, we need to follow active study techniques. That is our last point for the day. And what do I mean by active? For example, we are told that you need to read something. You need to go through a particular lesson, go through its question answers again and again and again. Okay, that is a very passive method of studying. Instead, after reading, if you are able to teach that topic to somebody, say a friend, a classmate, or any of your family members, or say your roommates, that really helps. Okay, it may or may not be useful to the audience, but it's really useful to you. When you teach something, you remember it better than anyone else, right? The next switch could be from writing notes to group discussion, writing and rewriting notes, from rewriting notes to group discussions. Okay, you have already written notes and you want to rewrite them. That is such a donkey work, the way we say it, or such a waste of time. So instead, what you can do is study the topic, or you can divide these topics in your friend circle and have a discussion on it. That really helps. Or you can even teach one another, right? So now what we are going to do is discuss one very important topic, okay, about how to make notes. It's called note making, right? What we'll do first is go through this passage. You need to study this passage, all right? It is only an example. You can imagine, you can replace this by your own topics. Okay, balancing the scales. Artificial intelligence, AI, is making a difference to how legal work is done, but it isn't the threat it is made out to be. AI is making impressive progress and shaking up things all over the world today. The assumption that advancements in technology and artificial intelligence will render any profession defunct is just that, an assumption, and a false one. The only purpose this assumption serves is creating mass panic and hostility towards embracing technology that is meant to make our lives easier. So this is our passage. Now, is it possible for me to break this down into smaller points? Yes, it is. So this is the first note making technique that we are going to learn. Sorry. So what we do is we break down these sentences into smaller ones. Okay, only the points are noted down. Let us look at that in the next slide. Yes, the passage is given and look at the points. What is the highlight of this particular paragraph? The highlight is that artificial intelligence or AI is not a threat. What are the subpoints? 1.1. 1 refers to the first paragraph number 1. 1.1 is of help. That means AI is of help. 1.2 makes life easier. Third point is no profession defunct. Defunct means made useless, okay, or not used anymore. So no profession is defunct because of AI, right? What are they trying to say essentially is that it is said that artificial intelligence is going to destroy us one day, and the world is going to collapse because of AI. It's going to take up all our jobs. But this particular passage is trying to say that no, that is not the case, and AI is actually here to help us out. I hope you are aware what is artificial intelligence. Right. I'll continue reading the passage. This is the second paragraph. Let us understand what this means explicitly for the legal world. The ambit of AI includes recognizing human speech and objects, making decisions based on data, and translating languages. Tasks that can be defined as search and find type can be performed by AI. Let us look at what kind of notes I have made for this. AI will help legal field that they have given in the first sentence. Often the first sentence of a paragraph is called the topic statement. That first sentence is going to tell you what the passage says. Even while writing essays, we need to remember this, that we should be very careful about where we break our passage for a paragraph, and the first sentence of the paragraph is often the, like I told you, the topic statement or the title statement, what is going to tell you the contents of the that paragraph. Okay, so first point is recognize human speech and object, making decisions based on data, translates languages, do search and find tasks. I have shortened it. Now when you are making such small notes or micro notes, it is all right if you skip the grammar part, and also you can use short forms. Like I could have written recognize human speech and object, and I could have used a short form and. Okay, so it is important that it is quite smaller in size, because at the end when you are going to revise this before the exam, you are not going to read the whole passage. You will read only these notes, right? Third paragraph. Introducing AI to this profession will primarily be for the purpose of automating mundane, tedious tasks that require negligible human intelligence. This profession, they are talking about the legal profession. We saw that in the previous paragraph. The kind of artificial intelligence that is employed by industries in the current scene, when extended to law, will enable quicker services at a lower price. AI is meant to automate a number of tasks that take up precious working hours. Lawyers could be devoted to tasks that require discerning, empathy, and trust qualities that cannot be replicated by even the most sophisticated form of AI. The legal profession is one of the oldest professions in the world, thriving over 1,000 years. Trust, judgment, and diligence are the pillars of this profession. The most important pillar is the relationship of the trust between a lawyer and clients, which can only be achieved through human connection and interaction. This is the end of the whole passage. Only 3 paragraphs I have included for an example, and these are the notes that I could make with the help of this particular para. AI cannot perform high-level tasks like writing legal briefs, advising clients, appearing in courts, sharp decision making. These words may not be actually there in that particular para. Okay, however, this is the conclusion that I have drawn. These are the 4 points that I could make out from this paragraph. Now we need to understand that every person has a different way of looking at things, right? So since I have made these points, does not mean you all will make the same points. Okay, maybe you will see something more important that you will take from that particular paragraph. The idea of note making is that what you really found important in this particular passage, you need to write it down. Now this is not only restricted to passages. Such kind of notes can be made in for any kind of text. Okay, literally for any kind of text you can make such micro notes. This is normally called note making. right? Let us move on to a very, very, very important note making concept, that is mind mapping, right? Mind mapping is very similar to what we have just done, note making, making micro notes, but then it is in the form of it's kind of geometrical, and I have been following this mind mapping technique right from my schooling days. This is very important. Alright, I have always been a person who enjoyed photographs, who enjoyed pictures, or who enjoyed drawing basically. So this is our mind map. Although it might look very huge and tedious, and it has covered the entire screen, but trust me, this is the best. Instead of you reading so much, if you just look at this picture, you are going to get the whole idea. I will explain. First, I will draw the circle, the green circle which is inside, and I'll write the topic statement. What is our topic statement? Artificial intelligence. In that, we have had 3 paragraphs, and 3 paragraphs have spoken about 3 different ideas. Let us look at the first. I have purposely kept the numbers so that you understand it is a reference to which paragraph. Okay. However, you can skip this in your notes. First paragraph talks about not a threat. Artificial intelligence or AI is not a threat. In that, there are subpoints. In that, subpoint is of help. Second subpoint, makes life easier, means artificial intelligence makes life easier. I am not going to write that every time. I have already written artificial intelligence in the middle circle, the green circle. Now every time there is no, it's understood because these are my notes, correct? It's very easy for me to understand. Yes, it makes life easier. That is why you should not follow someone else's notes. These notes are quite personal because you have made them. It makes sense to you. It may or may not make sense to others. What I normally do is, after every important topic, I make a mind map. I usually carry these A4 size sheets with me, and I start drawing. Okay, for example, this I say I'm studying a particular writer, and I will write about that writer's name in the middle, author's name, and then okay, first arrow will be, say it's important for me to learn where he or she is born. I'll write that. Okay, and in that I will make a sub point and write in which year that particular person was born, and so on. And at the end, I'll have many circles. I will have my mind map ready basically. Let's continue. Second point is AI will help legal field. In that, sub points are recognize human speech and object, making decisions based on data, translates languages, do search and find tasks. These are the 4 sub points. Let us go to the third point. AI cannot perform high level tasks like what? Writing legal briefs, advising clients, appearing in courts, sharp decision making. This entire mind map covers that whole passage which we took so much time to read. And if you just look at this, it is so simple, so easy. Also, since it's so colorful and it has diagrams, you feel like looking at it and you feel like reading it. So why don't you make such mind maps for all your lessons, and you are free to choose your note making method, but this is something which is very popular, and it has greater results also. All right, with this we come to the end of today's session of study skills. Let me know which study skill or which other study skills you follow in your routine. Thank you.